Hi guys, my name is Heidi, and I did my psychology project on the book Catch-22 by Joseph Heller. The book is mainly about Captain John Usurian, a World War II bombarder who is stationed with his Air Force squadron on the island of Pinosa, near the Italian coast in the Mediterranean Sea. He tries to protect his life in any way he can. There are Air Force regulations that prevent him from being grounded for illness or obtaining a leave. So he spent a lot of time in a hospital faking many illnesses to avoid the war. He also takes evasive action during flights to avoid being killed, and he even turns back on one, pretending his intercom was defective. The Colonial constantly throws the squadron into brutal combat situations in an attempt to become general, and he raises the number of missions they require to fly before being sent home, so no one is ever sent home. No one seems to realize that there's a war going on but Usurian. Everyone thinks he's crazy, but he insists millions of people are trying to kill him. The novel goes into different characters of the squadron, revealing everyone's insanity. There are 37 characters, but I'll only talk about a few main ones. Usurian, the protagonist and hero of the novel, is a captain in the Air Force and a lead bombarder in his squadron, but he hates the war. Usurian takes the war pretty personally and leads him to think that millions of people are trying to kill him. He's decided to either live forever or die trying, which is pretty ironic. Dr. Nika is a medical officer of the squadron, and he feels very sorry for himself because the war has interrupted his private practice back home. He refuses to listen to other people's problems. He's a hypochondriac and he belittles everyone's illnesses rather than treat them. And lastly, Usurian's roommate, pretty annoying to Usurian, is a gifted fix-it man who is always making little improvements to the tent that he shares with Usurian. He almost always crashes his plane or is shot down on combat missions, but he always manages to survive. The characters in the story don't change because it all ties into a catch-22, which is a situation you can't escape from, like a never-ending cycle. In Catch-22, there are quite a bit of psychological aspects. For types of psychology present, the main one is when Usurian wants to be excused from the air combat. To be excused, he only needs to show that he is mentally unstable, but there's a catch. Asking to be excused shows that he is sane, so there's no way. All the characters have something to show that they are mentally unstable. For example, Hungry Joe has screaming nightmares, although he denies them each morning, and he gets into fistfights with a cat that belongs to his roommate. Usurian's roommate crash lands every time he goes on a mission and talks about putting apples and horse chestnuts in his cheeks. My favorite part of the book would have to be Major's story of how he got his name. His father's idea of a joke was to name his child Major. He lies to his dying wife and tells her his name is Caleb. Only later does she find out his real name, and this news literally kills his wife. Chapter 9 says, "I have named the boy Caleb," he announced to her finally in a soft voice, "in accordance with your wishes." The woman made no answer, and slowly the man smiled. He had planned it all perfectly, for his wife was asleep and would never know that he had lied to her. I think this was a good book. It was hard to follow the plotline at times, but it was humorous, especially if you like dark humor. This would be a great book for you, so I think I would recommend it to a friend.